Hello, class. I'm going to answer problem 6 from the Unit 5 homework. So it looks like we have two observations here. We'll call them observations from sample xi and yi. And it looks like we do a count of 8. So it says determine, I guess, the difference between xi and yi, right? We're going to subtract both of these numbers. So if I open this up in StatCrunch, there's a quick way to do this, right? I want xi minus yi, so I can press data, right? I press data, and then I want to compute an expression, and I'll build. So we'll do xi, I double click it, minus yi, double click it, press OK, press compute, and there's my difference. So I have to type these values into here, right? So I'll do that in a moment. So I've transferred this difference column into here. I press check answer, and we get the excellent. Now it's asking for, it looks like this D bar is basically the average of these values, or the mean. And then the SD is the standard deviation of these values, right? Sometimes students make a mistake and try to use these values up here to calculate the mean and standard deviation, but we're really looking at these values. So there's a quick way to do that as well using StatCrunch. Right, since we already have this xi minus yi, I can press summary stats columns, right? And the column I want to use is that xi minus yi, right? That's this. And I press, you can take values out of here. Basically, I want the mean and the standard deviation, but I could add and subtract things from this column as well. I press compute. So my mean, and it says go 3 decimal places, right? That would look like this. Let's just enter that. 1, 2, 3 decimal places. I check answer. Good job. And then my standard deviation is this value here, right? So here was my mean, my standard deviation. And this we had to round 3 decimal places. So let's see, 1, 2, 3. Oh, so that's going to go up to 10. Okay, I press check answer, and you get the nice work. And now it says, all right, test at the 0.05 level of significance, right? So we want to see if the difference is less than 0. So my null hypothesis would be that my difference equals 0, and my alternative hypothesis would be that my difference is less than 0. Check answer. And then, all right, it says find the p-value. So again, let's open up our StatCrunch. I can close this, and I'm going to use this last column, right? So, because I want the p-value for my difference, the d. So if I press stat, and we're doing a mean, so it's t-stats, right? If it was a proportion, we'd be doing proportion stats. So it's a mean, t-stats, one sample with data. My data is in that xi minus yi column, right? That was what we found. And what else we're going to do here? Make sure we have our null. Our null was equals 0, and then the other one was less than 0, right? That's what we selected over here. And I press compute, and my p-value is here. And it says round 3 decimal places. So let's see, 1, 2, 3. Yeah, and it's really, the computer's really picky about rounding, so it's important that you round to the right place. So let's see, my p-value is less than the level of significance. So if your p-value is less than your alpha, in this case our alpha is 0.05 and 0.015 is less, we're going to reject the null hypothesis, right, and accept the alternative hypothesis. So the alternative is that UD is less than 0. So we reject the null hypothesis, and we say there's enough evidence to suggest that UD is less than 0 at this level of significance. Check answer. We get the OK. And then it says compute a confidence interval. So again, we can go back to StatCrunch, and really it's all here. Instead of doing a hypothesis test, I could just change this by hitting Options, Edit. And if you remember before we had the radio button for hypothesis test, I can now just click confidence interval, 0.95, compute, and here's my lower and my upper limit. So let's enter the lower limit. And it looks like we only have to go 2 decimal places. So let me just go here. And then my upper limit was this value here. And again, I believe we only have to go 2 decimal places. So let's shrink this a little bit. Check answer. Boom. Good job. So that's problem number 6. I hope you find that helpful. Thank you for watching.